pretty much because of what happened to them at home last year. I think they'll be a highly motivated football team and that's going to come in here ready to play. And I know we're going to be that way as well. But it's going to be a challenge. Anytime you line up and play, it's a challenge. You got to, one thing we talk our team all the time about, we got to come ready to play every week. One of the goals we set out for our team was 1-0, and that's a very business-like approach to every week. We want to come out and take care of business each week, and then we'll worry about the next week. So we're obviously excited about the opportunity to play. We're excited about playing a night game. There's a lot of great things going on here, and I know our kids and our staff and our fans and everybody involved is ready to play a football game. I'll open the floor for questions. Fire away, Doug.
You spoke yesterday on the Big South teleconference about you didn't like the way that y'all finished the season. And how much of that was related to just the team's lack of depth and experience, and how much of it was related to the fact that you were playing conference opponents instead of teams that you kind of got to handpick for your non-conference opponents?
I think it was a combination of things. I think we expended a lot of energy being all the first early on. And I think we ran out of gas, we ran out of depth, a lot of things. But in the same breath, those guys that are out there can also play with better focus and intensity on doing what we need to do. So in answering your question yesterday, Doug, a lot of the focus for me in planning everything we're doing is to try to give us the best chance to be successful, not only coming out the gates, but in the middle at the end as well. And, we set out on this journey, and I talked to you guys about this a lot. Gosh, 6-5 was great, it was awesome, but that's not what we set out to do here. We came here to build a championship football program. And to do that, you're not playing 11 games or 12 games. You're playing a lot more than that. So everything we do in building this thing revolves around that. I don't know when all this is going to happen. I don't know when it's all going to come. I don't know. I don't have that magic ball. But everything we do revolves around that. And so each year I think we learn from things we did well and things we didn't do as well, and we build on that. And that's something, these guys don't even realize, but I put a lot of attention to in our planning and how we go about our business. I've talked to them a lot about practicing in shells with better intensity. We can't go out every day in pads and practice. And that's been a topic for these guys since we started camp, because again, it's the longevity of things. We got to be better at the end. We got to be able to finish better.
Coach, going from year 1 to year 2 into this first game of the season, what have you seen the difference in your players? Because last year was a brand new beginning, and this year you got some veterans on the team. It's a little different perspective this year. What have you seen?
I think the biggest thing is these guys have a little better idea what's coming. I think we all do. Every year's a new year, so I think you learn from your experiences, but every year's a new year. But I think they understand a little more of what's getting ready to happen as far as getting ready to play a college football game. I mean, last year we were all the same now. We had no idea what kind of football team we had, what was going to happen, traveling. I mean, you can't imagine the things outside of just the game that you've never done before that you're trying to work through. So we do have a lot of guys that have done that now. I think it's really dialing in on what your job is, how you're going about your business, and winning football games is really what, instead of all the stuff that goes around the first, a lot of the pageantry of the first and all that, that was all good, but now it's really time to dial into what we got to do on a Saturday night or a Saturday afternoon. And I think that's the way these guys are right now.
Well, Brian, you do have the mystery of that first night game this time. So although you had your first, you got a lot of them out of the way last year, your first night home game this year, coupled with that team that you beat by 40 last year, wanting to spoil this particular first for you. How do you get your guys ready to anticipate the storm that's coming from East Tennessee?
Well, I think they understand, and I think I've tried to stress to them it doesn't matter. You got to come ready to play. We've talked about the situation, where we are, but at the end of the day, man, this is our opening ball game. It doesn't matter. ETSU, it doesn't matter. We got a chance to make a first impression of the 2016 football team. Not the 2015, the 2016 football team. We got a chance to make an impression in front of a packed stadium, in front of a lot of people watching on TV, a lot of people listening on the radio, all the different things going on. They're going to look and go, what is this team about? And I talked to our guys about first impressions. They can be lasting. We know we got a second, third, fourth, fifth ball game, but that first impression is important. and we got a chance to go make a big impression on how we go about our business. And how we do business here. So I think there's plenty enough motivation for us to go out and take care of business and do things the way we've worked on doing. Nothing's changed. It's our effort, our attitude, our toughness, the way we go about our business, the way we play the game. None of that has changed here. It should just be better. It should be better than it was because, shoot, we're a year older. It should be a lot better.
This might dovetail off of that, but listening to Coach Torbush when he was doing his presser yesterday, he said that this was going to be a measuring stick game for his program based on what happened last year, see how much better they become in all areas. How do you look at this game, or is it just we're taking care of business?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. We go do what we do, and we do it the way we're supposed to, and that's really all we look at. I don't really look at anything as a measuring stick right now. The measuring stick is the first team meeting we had, and we said we want to be a championship football team. And then we laid out how we go about doing that with our effort, our attitude, our toughness, the way we do things on both sides of the ball on special teams. And that's graded, that's evaluated on a daily basis. And these guys, that's all we've talked about since we've been here. And that's the first ball, and all we're doing is practicing. That's all we've talked about. So really, we've set the goals for the program, and the measuring stick is off of that. To be honest with you, we go look at that every week, and that's how we're evaluating.
Was there something that you did in camp or in the first practices last year that you now just kind of toss aside because you have a season under your belt, the guys have experience that you didn't need anymore?
No, not really. Like I said, we've gone in shells more in the preseason than we have in the past. Again, that goes back to my original answer of the longevity of things a little bit. But I don't know that, the way we've gone about things is a whole lot different than what we've done before. Like I said, every year's a new year. One thing I told our staff when we started camp, I said, listen, we've all been through this for a year now. But as soon as we start to assume something is in place, that's when we're going to get our butt kicked. We can't do that. It's a new year, and yes, we're older. Yes, we've been through it. That does help. There's no question about it. But that word of complacency shouldn't exist with our football program right now.
Are there any positions still up for grabs?
I think all positions are up for grabs to some degree, but I mean, we have a pretty steady 2 deep that we put out. Now, I think once we get into the games, I think that'll determine a little bit of the ebb and flow of what happens. But those spots have been earned. I think there's some guys that are backups that possibly roles could change a little bit based on what happens in a game. But I think it's some are more solidified than others. But one thing and you guys that pay attention to depth charts, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, best man wins. And we are always evaluating that. So I don't think anything's ever necessarily etched in stone. I mean, there's some guys that have proven themselves here, over time, but we're always evaluating guys, and that I think this first game there'll be a little bit of that as well. I looked at I think there was 50 guys I calculated on the 2 deep, and that's not exactly 2 deep across the board. That's special teams. 33 are redshirt sophomores or younger. 17 are upperclassmen. We'll have probably 6 or 7 or 8 kids. This will be the first college football game. Some are starting. It'll be our first college football game. So we are a year older, yes, but we're still a really young football team. And I think everybody needs to understand that. We're still a really young football team. We're still in a growing process. We're still trying to build everything the right way. I think we took some leaps and bounds a year ago, but that's behind us now. So it was interesting. I did it myself. I went through and looked at it because I was curious. But still a majority of our football team is redshirt sophomores and younger.
Coach, you said that 6-5 wasn't how you wanted to finish last year, but do you think that having a winning record in your first year makes it easier to build going into the second year?
If I said that exactly, then I was misquoted. I wasn't disappointed in 6-5, but that's not the standards of our program, if that makes sense. You know, I didn't have a measuring stick, a win or loss. I mean, yes, last year to win more than we lost for a first-year program, yes, absolutely. I don't think you could complain about that. But I think at the end of the day, my point is there's bigger and better things on the horizon for this program, and if we even think that's okay and we're satisfied with that, then we're not going in the right direction. So it wasn't that I was unhappy or disappointed. It's just that's not the expectations of Kennesaw State football.
When you look at game planning for this week, basically their entire secondary is different. Looks like they've had a pretty good overhaul on the offensive line. Do you, at that point, do you even bother pulling out tape from last year because the team is so different? How do you evaluate, or how do you utilize what you had on tape last year to help get ready for this year, considering they're so different?
Well, I think there's two things you're looking at now, John. You're looking at personnel, and then you're looking at scheme. The coaches haven't changed. I think they got one coach that's new, but the coaches haven't changed. Some of the personnel has changed. I mean, you're going to have an idea schematically what they're trying to do based off last year, and they're just like us. They're not going to go wholesale change. They're trying to build a program. You know, they're going to have wrinkles. They're going to do anything they can to, you know, to change things up. But they're building a program too, and so and then some of the personnel stuff, you do a background and all that. But some of you're not going to have any tape on. But we're no different. You know, they know what we're going to do. You know, I think we got an idea what they're going to do, and you got to go out and execute. You got to play. So I think it's two different things you're talking about. I think you're talking about personnel, and then you're talking about scheme. Some of the personnel we might not know as much about, just simply because they might not have played. I mean, you can go back and look. You can go look at where they came from. You can look at tape, but some of that. But the scheme part of it, you get an idea. And then everybody's got their wrinkles. You know, that's always part of it. And we have to identify those and move forward from there.
Did you watch the game Saturday?
I watched a little bit of it. We actually had a staff function Saturday night, so I didn't get to watch the whole thing. At least twice a year we get together as a staff and just hang out a little bit, a little fellowship. So we had that night. So we didn't have a TV access, so there's phones sitting on the tables, and everybody's watching the game. So I'll say this is you couldn't ask for better representation of the Big South Conference. I think it tells you a little bit about the league. Maybe not as many teams, but pretty deep. And you know, I think for the conference, they represented well. You know, in the spotlight, played against one of the obviously better teams in the country.
I know the transfer property doesn't actually take hold, but you were competitive against Charleston Southern last year. They're playing the defending national champions. How does that make you feel in retrospect? You know, what happened last year and this year, knowing that at least one of those two teams you can compete with on the field, possibly both if you have the opportunity.
Well, I think you know, I think from a coaching standpoint, from me personally, I mean, we're making progress. We're making progress. Are we where we need to be? No. At the end of the day, we got to go get ready for East Tennessee State, and that's really all that matters. And we'll take the rest as it comes. But you know, I think you watch that, and again, it's great for our league. You know, and you got something right there in front of you that you know you're going to play every year. That right now is the best team in the league, and so I think that was a positive.
Coach, what do you expect from yourself going into your second inaugural game as a head coach?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be probably as anxious and excited, different than a little bit last year, to be honest with you. I'm excited to see what our football team, our 2016 football team, is going to bring to the party. I'm excited to see that. There's a lot of things I could have done better last year that I'm going to learn from, just as I do every day in this role, and I will do every day in this role. I think I, like the players, have a little better idea of what's coming But when you get on a given Saturday, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. You prepare yourself. You think through all the situations and scenarios. But that's the great game. I mean, people wouldn't come. Although people wouldn't come watch it if it was just status quo. That's what makes it great. So I think the big thing is managing the game, managing. You know, I always try to find different ways to get our guys going. You know, that's my biggest challenge. You got a bunch of young men. You try to get them all in one direction. You know, continue to do that, and then just make sure on Saturdays I do the best job I can to help our football team win. You know, and don't do anything that would set it back. That every decision made is to help our football team win the game, and that's really all we've tried to do from the get-go here. Hopefully, our communication lines, a lot of things that go on during the game. Now that we've been through it, that's going to be improved. We've done it. We've done it now. So I think there's a lot of things that should be better. And that's part of us growing as a staff as well as our team growing. You know, we're growing as a staff as well. Those communication lines, it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. You just do it, and then you get a feel for what's going on. So I think we'll all be a little bit better in that area.
I know you spoke with Johnson and Lunkin and some of the other coaches that you're close to, but did you reach out to guys like Wilder at ODU and Jones at South Alabama, recent startups, about what happened in their year twos that you could learn from?
I didn't after year one. I did with all of them in my first year here. Every new program I reached out to, just about the whole gamut of everything going on. You know, about the expectations, how things went. As I've told you guys before, I go visit UNC Charlotte every year because it's the same destination as the Big South Conference, so I go visit with them every year. And it's just one of those, you sit down and have conversations about, you know, how did this go? Where was, you know, stuff that happened because they were really the most recent scholarship program that started up FCS, and then they changed. So, but I visit with them once a year and just kind of bounce stuff off of them. And I think year two, the thing that I took from all that is that you're not, all the excitement and pageantry's gone. Now it's football. And you can't let that, you've got to continue to move forward as a program. We can't just settle for what we started. We got to continue to go. We got to continue to do the things we set out to do. And I think that's the big thing. I talked to our guys a lot about, right when we started the off season, about, yes, 6-5, that's all good. But at the end of the day, that's not who we are. That's not what we aspire to be. And I use the word complacent. We don't want to be complacent. We got to continue to build and do the things we set out to do. But when you set the standards from the get-go, it's easy to do that. If that makes sense? We set the standards from the get-go, what we're trying to do. So they knew that. They knew that.
You mentioned how young the team is. With a lopsided win last year against ETSU, how do you avoid that seeping into the mindset that this is the same team that you played last year?
Well, I think the big thing I've told those guys is, I mean, I don't care what happened last year. It's the 2016 football team. They're different. We're different. You know, you go look at the game, and you know, they missed a lot of tackles. We hit some big plays. I couldn't tell you that we executed like we should have. You know, there's things we didn't do very good. You know, obviously it was the first game, but I think we're a much better football team. But that's great for me to say on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. But we're going to find out on Saturday at 7 o'clock how much better football team we are. I know they'll be better, but I think we're going to be better, and I think we're going to be more motivated than people give us credit for, maybe. You know, because it's again, it goes back to what is the standards of your program? What are you trying to accomplish? And we got a chance to make a great first impression.
Anything else for Coach? All right, Coach, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all coming out.
Thank you.